Susan Bates, boy, clover, tulip, furls. I have used all of these crochet hooks in the past, some more extensively than others. There's a myriad of different brands and crochet hook types when you go to purchase a new one or are getting started for the first time. But could a brand that is new to the crochet world, one that I thought only made pots and pans until a few months ago, be able to outperform all the other brands on the list? These hooks come in a set of 8, ranging from 2.5 millimeters to 6 millimeters. And they come to a grand total of $25 USD. In terms of affordability, that's a little over $3 a hook. And to be honest with you, that's kind of hard to beat in a crochet hook with an ergonomic handle. Be surprised if you could find something cheaper, much less something that's so nice to look at. So the first thing you need to know is that manufacturers will make one of 2 different types of shapes of hook heads. And those are tapered and inline. Some even make a hybrid of the 2, but these shapes will affect how the hook crochets as you're working with it. The other thing to consider is that some hooks will come with an ergonomic handle, and they can even be added after with name brand or third-party materials. They're made of different things, and I've even seen people use beads, like wooden beads, and bead their crochet hooks to give it a better grip, which, I'm going to be honest, is pretty cool. If they don't have an ergonomic handle, they'll be thin and spindly like this one, which that is easier to manufacture and cheaper to buy, but is harder on the wrists and can cause things like carpal tunnel and repetitive injury. Different people will crochet differently for a million different reasons. Some of these are grip, tension, hold on the yarn itself, and biology. That being said, no hook is going to be perfect. What works for you works for you. What works for me might not work for you. You honestly just need to experiment until you find something you like and either stick with it, or if you're like me, keep trying them forever. Keep going and buying and hoarding more and more crochet hooks until it's a problem. And then hide them. Hide them everywhere. And then every time you open a drawer, boom, crochet hooks. It's beautiful. It's perfect. We're here for it. So yeah, that's the things you need to know. So one thing I want to say about these is that I had no idea they existed before I went to the store and saw them at Walmart. And once I saw them, I had to have them. These things are so beautiful. They're honestly gorgeous. They feature a rose gold-ish colored hook with a ergonomic grip printed with roses and other flowers. It's really beautiful. Here's some footage of that. The roses are printed pretty nicely. It's easy to tell what they are. Something to mention about stuff that's printed on the hook. If you're a crocheter, one of the things you'll probably notice when you see these hooks is that the size of the hook is not printed nicely. There's a little indentation, but it's impossible to see. I can't see it at all, and that led to a lot of reviews on Walmart saying that they're awful and no one should ever buy them. And while that's somewhat true, I think that if you have a size gauge like this one, then they're passable. A little annoying to use, but passable. It's a real oversight on whoever manufactured these hooks, and I'm more likely to use something like furls where they're printed on the bottom, or clover where they're clearly printed in the silicone, rather than using ones that I don't know what size they are as soon as I pick them up. It's an inconvenience. Yeah, it's just an inconvenience. Personally, I found the 3.5 and 4.5 millimeter hooks respectively, and just use those, and when I pick them up, I'm like, this is the smaller one, this must be the 3.5, or this is the larger one, this must be the 4.5, and I use those. And they're separate from my other hooks, but that also means my other hooks are kind of neglected. Moving on to the head of the hook itself, the metal part of the hook is not matte or anodized like some other hooks might be. In fact, at first glance it looks a little scratchy, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was really worried about this when I first got them. I was worried that they would be prone to snagging and splitting the yarn, but actually they do pretty well. I have been using these hooks almost exclusively for the past few months. I think I got them at the end of the November, and now it's the end of December, so I guess 1 month. But I've worked with them quite a bit. I wanted to wait a while before actually making this review so that I would have adequate time to work with these hooks and see how well they actually performed. I've mostly been making amigurumi, which if you don't know, they're dolls like these, and they use a 3.5mm hook with a very tight tension. So I've really been putting these to the test, and I gotta say I like what I see. The thing about the hooks is that the ergonomic grips are all the same size, so even on the 3.5mm hook, you'll have the grip of the 6mm hook. It's pretty nice, to be honest with you. Here is some of the dolls that I've made in this past month with these hooks. These amigurumi dolls are specifically from Complicated Knots 7 Days of Crochet videos, and it was so fun to do. If you haven't heard of her, I'll link her channel down in the description below. She's really talented, and if you're watching my channel but not hers, what are you even doing? Upon closer examination, comparing it to the standard tapered and inline hooks, which I would say are Boy and Susan Bates respectively. In this case, these hooks take more after Boy than Susan Bates, which I guess would make them tapered hooks, but I'm not a professional in this specifically, so if you're wondering more about tapered or inline hooks, take it with a grain of salt, because I am by no means a professional on this. They work smoothly and are good about not snagging the yarn, except for occasionally, but I found putting a little more emphasis on the twist when you pull it out of the stitch allows this to not be as big of an issue. Overall, I really like how these hooks perform, and I don't feel fatigued after using them for several hours on some occasions. Even though the ergonomic hook is a hard plastic rather than a softer silicone-like material, as you would find in clover, I didn't find it hard to work with at all. It was, the shape of the hook is very ergonomic and nice to use, and it's, the texture isn't weird. I thought it would be weird. Not weird. It's very smooth. It's very nice. It's like matte, basically. So would I recommend these hooks? Yeah, I think I would. I love the design of the hooks, especially, and they work really well with the way that I crochet. That being said, there is the issue with them not having a printed label referring to the size. So if you're not a fan of the way the design is and how they look, or you don't have a swatch gauge like this one, it's harder to recommend them. Personally, I plan on marking all of mine from the set with either stickers or a Sharpie. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because I can't decide which. Honestly though, for the pricing and the affordability of these hooks, you can't really go wrong. I think they're great considering how happy I am with the overall quality and experience I've had while using these hooks. So what do you think about them? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, like and subscribe if you want to. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.